Katherine Talmadge with the American Dietetic Association. Welcome.
Thank you.
The government put out a new food pyramid this week. Could you tell us in general what this new pyramid tells us compared to what the old pyramid told us as far as what we eat?
Well, the new pyramid has made some changes based on scientific research. It's all based on the U.S. Dietary Guidelines, and the new ones came out in January. Some of the changes are increases in milk consumption, little decreases in grain consumption with an emphasis on whole grains, increases in fruit and vegetable consumption, decreases in fatty meat, all based on clinical research studies which show the benefits of eating a certain way or the harm of eating a certain way.
Any insight of why they designed the pyramid in the way they did?
Their goal was to reach consumers in a more effective way. What good is all this great nutrition research if people can't change their eating habits and have impact in their lives? So the goal for the new pyramid was to try to reach more people, and only time will tell if it will help people change their eating habits.
So basically it is like the old pyramid and tell you what kind of foods you should eat and how much.
The difference is this pyramid is more personalized. That is, you have to plug in some personal information about your age and your height or weight in order to find out what your personal calorie needs are. Then you can look up potential menu plans that would match those calorie needs.
And that could be found at the website? Is that where you do that, mypyramid.gov?
Yes.
And tell us a little bit then about looking at it. What do you think it will do as far as making people more nutritionally aware?
Well, so far what we know is it has made at least 48 million people run to the website and try to figure out their nutritional needs. Because it's essentially empty, it doesn't give you information, you really have to look further to find out what your nutritional needs are. And so far that's been a success. Apparently the computer systems were very difficult to get to because so many people were interested. I don't know of any other government document that had that many people rushing to their websites.
So someone looks at this, they go to the website, they put the information in. Do they get a diet plan, recommendations? What do they get in return?
They'll get recommendations. You would get a personalized diet plan from a registered dietitian. That's something that someone like I do for people using their personal background and medical background. It's much more individualized. The U.S. government is trying its best to come up with a personalized system, and this is a great first stab at it.
The grains section takes a primary precedent in the pyramid. In our current low-carb phase, though, is this a reality, though, as far as how much people should eat grain-wise and what, diets and other things would say about
The food guide pyramid is based on scientific research. The low-carb fad diet is a fad. This is long-term, decades worth of scientific research. And actually, if you add the fruits and vegetables, they comprise more than what the grains comprise.
And tell us a little bit about what went into the creation of changing this around. What kind of science and research went into changing it from the old to the new one?
Well, nutrition research is constantly evolving. Just like any science, nutrition is a science, and it's constantly changing and evolving. Although we've known for decades that a plant-based diet is the healthiest diet, prevents heart disease, diabetes, cancers, keeps weight down. We've known that for decades. Only minor changes are occurring these days, but they're very interesting and exciting research. So for a couple of years, a group of nationally renowned nutrition scientists combed the research, and they comprise the Scientific Advisory Committee to the U.S. Dietary Guidelines. This group of scientists combed the research, and the research includes epidemiological studies, but more importantly, the golden standard type of study, which is a clinical intervention trial, where they test very specific foods people eat, the results in their bodies using blood tests, looking at weight, looking at various indices. And there have been many, many years of those kinds of research studies. For instance, that's what made them increase their fruit and vegetable recommendations. We know that people at the upper levels of fruit and vegetable intake have lower blood pressures, lower heart disease, lower body weights, and lower cancer rates. That's what also caused them to ask people to minimize their saturated fat, cholesterol, and trans fat. We know that those fats, which are found in animal fats and processed foods, raise bad cholesterol levels, and that's correlated with heart attack. So, for instance, studies like that were involved in forming the new dietary guidelines.
I'll start with the 202 area code if you have questions for our guest. It's 202-737-0001 if you support President Bush, 202-737-0002 if you support Democrats, 202-628-0205 if you support others. If you live outside of the United States, it is 202-628-0184 if you live outside of the United States. Get your comment on the editorial cartoons that since the release of the pyramid. This was one that came out. You probably see that it says eat less fat, so it's in the shape of a pyramid. I guess what I'm asking is the question, they say an understandable food pyramid. What do you think when you see editorial cartoons like this about a changing of a system, especially the pyramid?
Well, I think it's exciting that it's getting this kind of media attention.
And do you think that people have generally get a sense of really nutrition-wise what they really need to do and it's largely ignored?
I think it's, yes. I do think that many people know that they should be eating more fruits and vegetables, but they don't. And I think it's because the practical aspects of how to do are difficult to many people. I'm a dietitian. I've been in private practice for more than 20 years, and what I do is help people change their eating habits, like many other dietitians across the country in private practice. And what I help people do is change their eating habits and do it on a slow, step-by-step, week-by-week process, and that way it's doable. Many people look at the pyramid and say, oh my gosh, I can't do that. I can't eat that many fruits and vegetables. I want to have my fries now and then. And in reality, variety and moderation is what's being recommended.
What do you make of the release of this pyramid in the same week that the CDC underestimated the amounts of deaths to obesity, and also that in some cases overweight people live longer?
Well, that's just one study, and we're waiting to see further research to see if that's actually confirmed. This study was very unusual. It was only looking at deaths, and there are some complications in the way the research was done. We know that being overweight causes health problems, that after a certain body mass index, which is the government level of what weight you should be, you start developing high blood glucose, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, your heart disease risk and your cancer risk increase. So we in the nutrition community will continue to push people to get into shape and eat more nutritiously in order to live healthier, happier lives.
First call for you comes from Gravois Mills, Missouri. Good morning. Go ahead, please. Gravois Mills.
Good morning. One of the big things that will help control some... Pardon?
Go ahead, you're on, sir.
Okay, one of the things that will help control the escalating medical cost is if the education program is such that it educates people to eat right and to guard their diets so that they don't become obese or develop some of the other latent problems that come into older age people as they get older, such as diabetes. And I give President Bush's team a heads up on this. I think that senior citizens need to have the help, and actually every American needs to have the help to guard their health. So I really think that this is a great initiative.
I agree with you. I work with people in private practice and can tell you within a month their diabetes medications are cut in half. They often go off cholesterol medications, blood pressure medications, heartburn medications, you name it. Most of the medications given out in the United States would not be given out if people followed these dietary guidelines, absolutely. But the question is the budget big enough to communicate to enough people? Is this pyramid going to be effective enough so that people can actually change their eating habits and initiate these terrific nutrition recommendations that came out in January?
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Good morning.
You're on. Go ahead.
All right. Good morning, Ms. Talmadge and Pedro, and thank you very much for taking my call. Given the fact that the population that's generally most affected by chronic diseases caused by failure to follow such things as the nutrition or the food guideline and to get adequate exercise. Given the fact that they don't have internet access, I'm wondering why that particular method was chosen as, I am assuming, the primary method to disseminate information concerning this. I'd like to know what other methods might be used that will get to this this population, and how effective do you think it might be? Thank you.
Well, you know, I'm not with USDA. I am a spokesperson for the American Dietetic Association, and the American Dietetic Association is very concerned about access and communication of these guidelines, just as you are. You're correct. And I think you should talk to your congressman and your senator so that they can have the political will to put more of a budget behind the communication of these guidelines so that more people have access to the guidelines and that they're better understood by the most of the population.
According to the guidelines, adults should be physically active for at least 30 minutes most days, children 60 minutes, and then 60 to 90 minutes of daily physical activity may be needed to prevent weight gain or sustained weight loss.
It's not natural to be sedentary. We evolved during a time where we burned about 3,000 calories daily, and now our average need is about 2,000 calories. That's how much our activity level has reduced. When we're not physically active, we get sick. We get diabetes, we get high blood pressure, we get cholesterol, we become overweight. And due to our technologically advanced society, which has many of its benefits, but that's also backfired in a way. We need to be more physically active, and everybody knows they feel better when they're exercising and more physically active.
Looking at the amounts of time, though, I know previous studies have said, you know, taking the occasional 5-minute walk, it adds up during the day. Does that count, or is it one of those sustained efforts?
Absolutely, it does count. In fact, I encourage everyone to wear a pedometer. It's this great little contraption you put on your waistband. They're about $20 a piece, and it counts your number of steps, and that you accumulate at least 10,000 steps a day. The average office worker gets 2,000 to 5,000 steps a day. So it's not that difficult to double it. In fact, a mile or 15 minutes is about 2,000 steps. So if you just wear a pedometer, that helps people increase their awareness of what they're doing, and they can be active 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and with a pedometer it's easy to measure that, and it's a terrific tool. I recommend it.
Does the pyramid or the website talk about portion control as well?
Yes. Every recommendation is based on portions. For instance, the 6 grain recommendations, they recommend you have 6 grains a day. It's 6 1-ounce equivalents, and that's important to understand. People were confused by the old pyramid because it just said 6 servings. The new pyramid says 6 1-ounce equivalents. In the old pyramid, a person might think, oh, does that mean I get 6 bagels a day? But the new pyramid makes it very clear. No, 6 1-ounce equivalents. Your bagel may be 4 to 6 ounces and be all of your grain equivalents for the day.
We go to Washington, D.C. Good morning.
Good morning. Enjoying the show this morning. I remember the pedometer from an episode of Leave It to Beaver in the 50s. Anyway, the low-carb craze, how does that tie into the new food pyramid? Because, you know, the thing is that low-carb diets, I recall as being a rather portly child, having gone on a low-carb diet around 1965, and it was highly touted in, you know, supermarket line tabloids and diet books that my parents bought to help me control my weight. And so I don't really see it as anything new or revolutionary, and as well not even the Atkins diet. So I really see that this food pyramid is market-driven in a lot of ways, depending upon, I guess, which food lobby or food cartels and you know, what food group is being promoted at a given juncture in time.
Caller, thanks.
Well, the American Dietetic Association was involved in the creation of these dietary guidelines, and we're pretty convinced that they're science-based. They're based on scientific research of showing what is the most healthy diet to eat. It's not based on the market. It shouldn't be. And certainly the reason why you read about the low-carb diet in tabloids is because it is a fad and it is not science-based. Decades of very solid nutritional research has shown very clearly that a plant-based diet, one that's high in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, and low in fatty meats and high-fat dairy products, is the diet that is connected to longevity, to less heart disease, to less cancer, to lower blood pressures, and to lower body weights. That's very well established in the science.
You talked about the body mass index. Is that based on science?
The body mass index, yes, it's based on science. It's a system that the National Institutes of Health put out after combing decades of research showing that showing at what weight will disease rates start going up. So for instance, at 5'5", after 150 pounds at 5'5", a person's at a higher risk of developing high blood pressure, high blood glucose or precursor to diabetes and other problems related to body weight.
The reason I ask is that the Baltimore Sun this morning has a story taking a look at the BMI, but it also takes a look at two athletes and looking at them, taking their weight and their height into account. They're both still considered overweight.
Athletes comprise about 1% of the U.S. population. I don't think you or I or most of us are considered athletes. That is, we don't have high muscle masses that would interfere with giving a correct assessment of body mass index. In any case, body mass index is only used as one tool for the doctor or the registered dietitian to determine the weight an individual should be. Body mass index is more a population thing. When we, in a clinical setting, are assessing a person's body weight, we look at their medical numbers, we look at their personal history, their family history, what their needs are, how they feel. We look at a variety of factors before we determine what that person's ideal body weight might be.
Our guest also has written a book on called Diet Simple, Shed Pounds Without Even Trying. There is the cover. While you look at that, Schaumburg, Illinois, you are the next call.
Hi, I have a similar question to the last caller, and I was, first of all, I'd like to say I know a lot of people who the Atkins diet has worked for, and I noticed you kind of wrote it off as a fad diet. However, it should be noted that the two diets don't work in tandem, the Atkins diet or other low-carb diets versus the food pyramid. And while the food pyramid does work for the majority of Americans, the Atkins diet centralizes on putting a body in ketosis and basically turning a person into a biological carnivore. And I was wondering if you could actually comment further on that and sort of clarify, the differences between the two diets and how that factors into the consideration for the new food pyramid.
Weight loss is all about calories. Calories you take in have to be less than calories that you burn. When people lose weight on an Atkins-style diet, say a low-carb diet, a low-fat diet, or even the cabbage soup diet, they're losing weight because they're consuming fewer calories than they're burning, period. Cutting out all the carbohydrates that you eat, or half of what you eat, of course, reduces calories dramatically. Unfortunately, it's not the way most people can live. And that's why studies have shown that very few people maintain their weight loss on an extreme diet like a very low-carb diet.
We go to Columbus, Ohio. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I was just curious as to the timing of your pyramid coming out had anything to do with the Atkins diet.
It had nothing to do with the Atkins diet. The timing of the pyramid coming out had everything to do with the resources of the federal government. Every few years, the federal government puts out U.S. dietary guidelines based on current nutrition research. And nutrition research is constantly evolving, just like any science. So every few years, they put out dietary guidelines, and the new pyramid is designed to reflect the new dietary guidelines. It's also designed to reflect consumer research, which supposedly will help people initiate these dietary guidelines in their lives, and of course, time will only tell if that will happen.
There's a story in the Washington Post today about Cookie Monster.
Oh.
And how he's I guess in the new season will be taught moderation as far as his eating habits. Talk a little bit about children, if they're getting the nutritional message that adults have heard for most of their lives, and if it's translating down to children and their diets and what they eat.
Well, children, of course, is the most important consideration. Children eat whatever their parents eat. Children eat whatever's in their environment. So what is so critical to children is that their parents adopt these new changes so that the children learn to prefer and enjoy healthy foods. Because, you know, children, tastes will develop just based on what's in their environment. They eat whatever's around them, and so it's critical that parents make these positive, healthy changes, and then the children will naturally follow along, and that's their parents, but also schools. Should we be having bake sales and competitive sales in schools and vending machines in schools? The USDA tries to put out a nutritious lunch, but to earn money, the schools are selling French fries and burgers and candies and Cokes. Should that be going on? If you don't think so, you should be contacting your local PTA or principal's office.
Will children in schools be taught the new food pyramid?
Absolutely. Apparently, the feds are putting together educational materials for schools.
Pulaski, Tennessee.
Hi, Catherine. I'm 60 years old, and I exercise about 10 hours a week. I've had open heart surgery, and my question is, when I get up in the morning, my pulse is like in the 30s. Is this normal? That's my question.
You know, congratulations for exercising so much. Are you real healthy? How are you doing after your surgery?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I had it 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
I'm doing fine.
That's great. Well, you know what? I'm not an expert in what your pulse should be. My understanding is there is no average pulse, that pulse rates vary widely, and if you want to find out if your pulse is a problem, you should go to your doctor.
Our guest is a registered dietitian with 20 years of practice. She was a correspondent and producer for the Food Network. Her clients have included the U.S. Senate, the U.S. Navy, and the President's Council on Physical Fitness. And she has her M.A. and it's listed you have a master's and a bachelor's. It doesn't list where you got those from.
Oh, University of Maryland, my bachelor's degree in nutrition, and my master's degree at Catholic University in behavioral sciences.
Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Good morning.
Hi, Catherine. My name is Michelle Bullock. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I am calling. My husband and we were both active, but about a year ago, he suffered an accident. He severed his ACL.
Oh.
Needless to say, we both have gained a little bit of weight, and we're trying to get back in shape.
Uh-huh.
The new South Beach diet, how does that go along or compare with the new food pyramid?
You know what? I would just throw out all your diet books, to be honest with you, and I would just go to the USDA website, mypyramid.gov, and see what you can find. Also, the American Dietetic Association website, eatright.org, has fabulous tips and strategies for weight loss and weight maintenance and healthy eating. You could also find a dietitian in your area who might be able to help you. These guidelines are terrific. You switch to these guidelines, just one step, just try this week the fruit and vegetable guidelines alone, eating 4.5 cups of fruits and vegetables a day. Just that change alone will probably help you lose a little weight. Include a little more physical activity. So I assume since your husband injured yourself, that meant your activity went down too. That's too bad.
Denison, Texas.
Hello?
Hi, go ahead, you're on.
Yes. I am a 59-year-old lady, and I have cancer very bad, and I would like to know if there is some diet that I can be on. I'm very slim. I do not need to lose any more weight. I need to know if there is something that I should be eating that would keep me at the weight that I am right now.
I'm so sorry to hear about your illness. You know, if I were you, I would go to your doctor and ask him for his or her advice and also for a recommendation for a registered dietitian in your area, or go to the ADA website, American Dietetic Association, eatright.org, and see if you can find a dietitian in the area. I think the Dietary Guidelines Food Guide Pyramid is an excellent diet in health or in sickness, and I would say it's a great recommendation, but it sounds like you may need some more personalized needs based on your medical condition, and I would talk to your doctor and a registered dietitian who can do an individualized diet based on your needs.
Albany, New York, you are the last call. Good morning. Go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call. It's great to have Katherine Talmadge on. I'm really enjoying the show. I'm very interested in your book, and I wanted to ask if you would tell us, please, the publisher, and also the new food pyramid. I'm very interested in how many food groups are on there. And then a personal question. I am a large person. I am in my 40s. I've always been big and, capable of a lot of physical work, but I am very overweight, and I need to lose quite a bit of weight. And it's very difficult for me, and I was wondering if you had any specific tips for people who had large amounts of weight to lose.
Well, first of all, I'm so happy that you're thinking about making some positive changes. What I recommend that you do is break down your goal into small chunks. Think about it as, 5 pounds at a time. Think about maybe this month losing 5 pounds. Go to the USDA website, mypyramid.gov, or the ADA website, eatright.org, and see if you can get a personalized approach that fits you. I'm pretty sure you can. I also teach a free course on the web. It's a 4-week course offered through barnesandnoble.com. You can go to my website, dietsimple.info, to get connected to that course. There's so many great resources out there for weight loss, and I wish you a lot of luck. I'm sure you can do it, though, but just try to think of your weight in small chunks. Don't think of it as 50 pounds or 100 pounds. Think of it as 5 pounds in the next month. And then once you lose that 5 pounds, think about it as another 5 pounds in the next month. But it is important that you have an overall vision that excites you about weight loss, and maybe think about where you might be a year from now. Keep that vision in your mind at all times, and then think about small weekly changes that you can initiate.
This is our guest book, Diet Simple, Shed Pounds Without Even Trying. And Katherine Talmadge is her name. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Again, if you're interested in finding out more about what's going on as far as the new guidelines are concerned, it's mypyramid.gov, the website, and you can go to there to find out the information and learn more about it.